Alright guys, so we are getting some major update that I feel like I do want to talk to you guys about. Normally when we are getting these update, I don't bother like putting out like a separate video talking about them, but I do feel like this one does warrant me to actually cover this so you guys are at least aware of what is going on. So starting off, we have a new starter and comeback campaign version 2. So this is only going to be applicable to players that are, just starting at the game, or they're just coming back, like having played for like the last month, 2 months, or even up to 3 months, for example. So they're talking about this one, the AP consumption are going to be 0 when they are playing the storyline, when for players that are below rank 30. So that's going to be good for just fast ranking up, so you guys can build up the AP, and that is going to be good for the long term. The starter campaign is going to be this one, so that is actually a pretty hefty changes to it, so that's going to be good just to get the account all started up. So that's kind of like the login bonus for that. Pretty nice. And this is going to be the comeback login bonus, so this is only going to be eligible for players that has not logged in for 90 days. So this is specifically for anyone that hasn't been logging in for like the last 3 months. So they're getting a lot. So you guys can see, first week you're getting up to 21k diamonds, and the subsequent last 7 days you're getting up to 3 instances of 2550 rainbow coins. So that is equivalent to maxing out a unit completely from T0 to T5. So if you guys are watching this and you guys are wanting to come back to it, log in for the next 28 days just to get those up, I mean, that's actually pretty good. So I'm probably going to do some clickbait on the title, so just to get people attention, because I feel like this is really important. Like, look at that. They even, highlight the main thing. 4,500 euro custom ticket. I do feel like that is a little bit low. That definitely has to be higher. Like, maybe bump it up to like allowing you to max out a unit from, I don't know, C0 to C14. I think that will be a little bit more realistic, but this is not a bad amount. But me personally, I wish that would have been like 2 times the amount, like 30k. Just give us 30k. I think that would have been a little bit more reasonable. But yeah, this is good. Be able to max out 3 unit right at the bat. If you guys have not played for a while, that's actually really good. Alright, so that's kind of like the one of the major one. We're getting this guy right here. We're getting the Mark II with the flying armor, so I will definitely be doing a showcase on this probably sometimes during the week, so you guys are aware of what is going on. So we have that. This one I'm not gonna talk about the encirclement breakthrough battle. Y'all already know the procedure of that. We have the master battle, so this is not even like the most hype thing. We're just getting 4 more stories, so that's good, obviously. But the main thing I do want to talk to you guys about is the update that they're planning. So I think it should be this one that I'm seeing the full picture of things. So update detail, they have everything in here. So you guys can definitely see we're getting up to player level 150, C15 as well on that. And I think now we are able to get some of the ultra material as well. So you guys can definitely read a little bit more on that. New feature adding on is the login bonus, so that is definitely not to us. Yeah, definitely not it, right? Let's see. No. Yeah, that's just something else. Sorry. Start login. Okay, so this is the main thing that I wanted to kind of talk about. I guess we can kind of start from here. Is the formation screen adjustment. So they're adjusting and simplifying the formation screen UI to make creating mobile/character formation easier, and they're also adding the automatic selection added. Okay, so that's kind of whatever, kind of some quality update. But the battle improvement is the key feature or the key footnote from this patch. So when attacking with a weapon, we move splash damage to other unit other than targets. Area attacked by enemy MA will still cause damage to multiple units. So this one is kind of important because the splash damage, like you will notice from the yellow Sasabi or any units that kind of does the irrigation, whatever the attack is, like you hit them with like that beam attack, you strike them down like that. So as the enemy, if you move in between that striping, for example, not only is the unit that's, let's say, Sasabi is targeting, the subsequent unit that comes with contact in that, they get hit as well. So I am assuming they're boo-booing that, and any other unit that you are intending to target the A enemy, but it targets B and C enemy, those are getting removed. So it might cause some changes depending on how we look at things. I think for general content, it shouldn't be that big of a deal unless we are talking about, like, I guess Phantom 8, or sorry, not Phantom 8, but Total War, or like the Battle Rush, or like the Challenge Battle, or anything that has multiple enemy. It could pose a problem because sometimes, like, oh, maybe getting the splash damage could be good because that is maybe like a deciding factor of whether or not we can take out the subsequent enemy as well. But I think this is definitely more or less fixing a bug rather than just removing it. I think it was like a mistake to begin with, so they're adjusting that. But number 2, we have type improvements. Close combat, raid, they are getting a reduction on interval between attacks. So I think this was something that they had mentioned prior. I don't know necessarily like, whoa, what's like the time difference in interval? Like, is it down by like a second, down by 2 seconds, or something like that? I mean, in this game, to be real honest with you guys, is kind of, I want to say it's impossible to time gauge how these are getting effective as far as like the time interval, but I'm just gonna say it's not gonna be that darn noticeable by enemies. All right, if you're just casually playing, if you're not really hardcore into it, it's not really gonna be changed by that much at all. So it's good that we're getting a shorter duration for close combat and raid, because like right now, close combat and raid unit are really horrendous in landing those attacks in, because like after doing like a melee attacks and cycling through the weapon, it takes a really long time to like have them go back into the attacking cycle. So I mean, obviously this is good, but at the same time, we don't know necessarily how good that can be. So that is definitely something we have to wait and see how good it is. I'm probably going to be doing some testing prior to the update that gets pushed out, so I can get some damage as a comparison, because damage is like the last thing that I feel like is a little bit more comfortable as a comparison. I would definitely say I'm not like the most knowledgeable player out there, like getting like the nitty gritty things down, but damage wise, testing some, timing wise, I mean, we can definitely gauge those and see what's going on. Bombardment sniper adjusted the unit's behavior when moving away from a target at the start of the battle. Oh wow. Was that something that I noticed? Don't know actually. I mean, we can definitely tell when we use things like Xeon, like S Gundam, or even Double Zeta to see, is that gonna be a positive change? Like, I'm talking about like damage wise, would that be better, or you know whatnot? But that's, wow, moving away from targets, interesting. I mean, does that mean right now bombardment or snipers, they are just not performing at their peak? Is that what we are looking at? I don't know. We'll definitely do some testings, I guess. But the really big thing we're looking at is finally the battle system improvement. So yeah, they are finally doing an adjustment to the type advantage. So when they talk about that, I mean, assuming it's going to be easier to pinpoint when we are selecting targets, meaning when AI selects, oh, let's see what element I should be facing against or something like that. I assume it's only that. I don't think we're getting like anything of a damage increase when we are fighting type advantage or something of that nature. I don't believe that would be the case. I think it's just the fact that when you're fighting like a, let's say a close combat is fighting against a armor unit. Maybe there will be a change in that correlation, or let's say a raid unit fighting a generic unit, there may be some changes to it, or bombardment fighting armor unit. I think that's kind of like what they're talking about, but I could be wrong on that. But the other one is the critical effects is getting reworked. So right now, the most letdown unit in the game is Easy 8 because of the insane critical support Easy 8 is providing, but none of it actually works. So with the adjustment to the critical effects, it seems like Easy 8 will be able to perform at its prime, like even at its peak. So I am definitely going to be jotting down some pre-critical rework to see how much of the effect we're looking at. So that is going to be affecting everywhere, like arena, general content, you name it, every content. Having that critical rework is going to be very important, and I cannot wait to see what's that going to do to the game. Yeah, that may be one of the single-handedly one of the most important thing we're getting changed. Critical rework. My gosh, we've been waiting for a very long time for this to come into fruition, but we finally have it. And lastly, the what is it? Adjustment to status resistant that is getting a change. Resistant wise, I wouldn't say it's gonna be that big of a deal in general content. Arena wise, it is gonna be a very big deal. That may actually change things up, or even do some magnitude of shaking up what will be the peak unit to be using. So I'm actually gonna be delaying kind of like the 3 months interval, like what are like the I guess kind of like a tier list. I want to give it an extra month on that, just so that we are aware of like the critical rework and a lot of these battle system improvement, so that I know what's going on. Because like once I hop into arena after the update, I can immediately tell what's gonna be good, what's gonna be bad, and all that good stuff. So that's why at this point in time I don't want to jump into the game and make that yet until the reworks. But my gosh, yeah, that looks like it is going to be very important as well. So lastly, when a level is reset in when a level reset is done in a unit enhancement, items will be returned directly to the player's inventory. So okay, that is good. And the unit enhancement screen adjustment, including the upgrade at the bottom. Okay, so alright, so no biggies in this one. Is they're not doing like a really substantial change to it, unlike what JP is getting right now. So that is definitely gonna be something that we will be having an update sometime soon, I guess. But yeah, version 1.40. So that is definitely gonna be a very big update. So alright, but other than that, you guys can definitely let me know how you guys feel about the upcoming changes, and I'll be catching you guys out on the next one.